First thing I need you to do, if you've got the extra credit, before you turn it into me, I need you to look for the following. These are the common mistakes. These are the same things, by the way, that I told you over a week ago. Make sure you're not doing this, or make sure you are doing this. Make sure your name is clearly on the extra credit. Make sure the period, fourth, is on there as well. Make sure the scale is on there. I've seen all sorts of weird things for scale, but the scale would be something like 1 meter equals 4 centimeters. Or 1 meter equals 2.37 centimeters, whatever it happened to be. Okay? This isn't just something you pull out of the air. This was something you calculated. Every one of your numbers, every one of your labels, measurements should have M after them. Should be in meters, not inches, not centimeters. Okay? If there is no label, they're all going to be wrong. And finally, you should have all the objects labeled: bed, dresser, bookcase, whatever they happen to be. Okay? Now, I need you to put your extra credit on my desk, and I'll give you further directions. You should have out all the papers that you've gotten in human anatomy and physiology the entire time, any worksheets that have just been returned to you, and even your notes. Last call for the extra credit. I'm not taking these at the end of the period. I need them all now. Okay, I'll repeat the directions because I know some of you didn't get that. You should have all the papers from the Human Anatomy and Physiology unit. That would include worksheets, crossword puzzles, notes that you took, you name it, everything, since the beginning. Quizzes. All right. I want to guide you through a little bit of your preparation because I don't want you to wait until Monday night to study. I know some of you probably will, and that's not wise. Hopefully, what you're going to study is the stuff that was longer ago, the muscles and the skeletal systems, because those were a while back. The more recent ones, hopefully you shouldn't have to study, like the quiz we're going to take today on the urinary system. You won't have to review that information because you just took the quiz on it. But the older it is, the more you're going to need to review it. And I mentioned to you before that when we do this unit, that one of the things I was hoping to teach you is how to prepare for quizzes and tests. And I've given you some specific strategies. Let me give some examples here. When you prepared for this quiz, the cardiovascular quiz, one thing you could have done to prepare at home is to take this page with the diagram on it that you have labeled, put it in your printer, copier machine thing, print it out, and then cut off all the labels, like little puzzle pieces. And then lay down the heart and stick the labels in the right place. Okay? That's something very concrete, very specific, that once you get them all matched up, you know you've got the anatomy part right. Okay? But there are some other specific things you can do. If you think studying is just taking all the papers and just looking through them, or just staring at them, how do you know when you're done? I mentioned this to you before. Studying is just this kind of vague thing. I'm going to study. I study for an hour. Well, what exactly did you do during that time? If you were actively doing something with the information, you were speaking it, you were writing it, you were drawing a picture, you were making up flashcards, that's useful time. That's time spent wisely. If you just stared at the page, it doesn't matter if you do that for an hour or 5 hours. That doesn't guarantee any kind of results. So I'm going to share with you once again, and I'll remind you more about this on Monday too, what my system is for success on quizzes and tests. I didn't come up with this, guys, until college, and not at the beginning of college, well into it. And then it totally changed the way I prepared for tests. And it was so much more rewarding and relaxing to know that when I study for a test, at this point, when I do this, this, and this, I'm done. I can now relax, okay? I didn't realize that before. I never knew when I was really prepared for a test. So you can start getting prepared right now. The first step in my system, O-R-E, you know, like you go mining for ore, go digging for it. You got to dig deep to do well on these tests. First step, O, is for organize. And you want to put the information in the order we covered it. So that would be muscular system first. We had worksheets that we filled in, you had notes that you took, you had a quiz. So you find all that stuff and you put that at the top of your stack. Why? Because your brain remembers things in an order, a sequence. So you should be organized, and you should organize your materials in that same order. Okay? So the muscular system comes first. After that was skeletal system. Then nervous system. Then cardiovascular, respiratory, digestive, and urinary. If you don't remember, you can always look at the dates on the sheets too. That might help remind you which order. So I'm encouraging you to do that right now as I finish talking, to put your papers in the order we covered the information. Okay? So now you've got a big stack of papers. Have you already done that? No? Okay. Well, we'll just pretend that she's already put these in the right order. You can do this later if you like. It doesn't have to be done now. So we got this big stack of papers. And you go home and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got to memorize all this. How am I going to do this? You start crying, you start freaking out, and you've given up already. The truth is, hopefully you know most of this. Now, I don't know, does this have all your notes in here? Is this everything, human anatomy, except for the stuff for today? Okay. The truth is, you know a good chunk of this, probably most of the information. So what I would then do next is I would look at that muscular quiz, and I'd see which ones I got wrong. Okay? And then you take that part out. Now, could you just take that quiz and set it over here? Sure. But by actually writing down the question, maybe you got the one wrong about the type of muscle found in the digestive tract. What is that? Type of muscle found in the digestive tract. Smooth. You got that one wrong. So on a separate piece of paper, like you're taking new notes, you write, smooth muscle is the type of muscle found in the digestive system. Okay? Now you may say, well, that's just a waste of time. I know that. Well, you didn't. You got it wrong on the quiz, and by writing it down, you're doing something with the information. Better still, draw a picture. If a picture applies, draw a picture. But do something with the information. Okay? What I do is I just skip right ahead. I combine these two steps. Reduce means to get it down to the absolute stuff you have to know. So you no longer have this big, thick stack of papers. You have just a few pages of notes. This is the stuff I got wrong. This is the stuff I now need to know. But I skip right to this last step because when I'm reducing, I am also encoding. What does encoding mean? It means put it in the language of your brain. Your brain likes pictures. Your brain likes colors. Your brain likes patterns and organization. And by putting it onto little index cards, you're doing all of those things. You're taking a piece of information and you're putting it onto one card. Okay? I'm not just preaching this stuff and not using it myself, guys. This is what I've used whenever I've gone to school once I figured out how well it works. These are my cards for exercise physiology I took in college. I have similar cards like this for human anatomy when I took that. And what I do is I put one thing on the front, okay? Maybe it's examples of smooth muscle, okay? And then on the back, I have my little picture of what smooth muscle looks like. I drew a picture, okay? And then I list examples found in the arteries and veins, found in the digestive system. Does this make sense? So each card, each little flashcard has one piece of information, or it could have several if they all go together. And then on the back side is the answer. You've now made up these cards. The process of actually making up the cards, that's studying. You know, simply going through and organizing your papers and looking at them, oh, I got this one wrong or that one wrong, you're relearning the information. when you copy it over onto a separate piece of paper, or when you make up these index cards, these flashcards, you are reducing, but you're also encoding. You're reducing the amount you need to study. This is not nearly as scary as a big, thick stack of papers with lots of words on them. And you're putting it into brain-friendly language, pictures, using colors. Notice I use different colors on my flashcards. Okay, so now you've got your flashcards made up. By the time you've made up your flashcards, you probably have done 3/4 of the work. We're almost done, okay? Here's the last step, and this is what I would recommend you do. Some of you have been using flashcards all along. You made them up for the individual quizzes, which makes it super easy when you get to the test, because you don't have to do that extra work. You just combine all your flashcards together and you go through it. Oh yeah, I totally know that one, I know that one, I know that one. And once you know them 3 times, you've been through the stack, and you know all the cards 3 times, then flip them over. You've heard the expression, I know it forwards and backwards. Yes? Okay, well now try it backwards. Ooh, there's a picture of something weird. What is that? Oh, I know what that is. That's smooth muscle, because it's found in the digestive tract. Yep, smooth muscle. When you can go through your stack of cards forwards and backwards 3 times, you're done with it. Okay? I've done that one 3 times. Take it out of the stack. Then you'll be down to just the last few. Ooh, I got all these memorized. I'm just down to these 6 cards. Stick them in your pocket. Take them to the store. Whatever. Whenever you have a few extra moments during commercial break of your favorite show, you go through them. Last minute before class, you go through them one last time. That is the way you know when you're done. When you can go through them forwards and backwards 3 times, you're done. You don't need to study any longer. You know, we sit there and we just keep staring at the page because we think more is better. More is not better. Study smarter, not harder. Okay? Those flashcards really, really do work. The sooner you learn to use that system, I'm telling you, it's going to make your life a lot easier, especially for difficult material like this. Okay? Any questions on any of this? All right, so you started the organization. You can reduce and begin encoding at home. And on Monday, we'll do a little game in here, a little review game, but that's not going to replace your own preparation.